All right, hello folks, hey everybody. I want to say thanks to meteorologist Marita Calderon. She's periscoping with us. If you want to show, we've got Rebecca over there as well. You have forecaster Rebecca Kopelman and Dan Henry. Dan, come on, get your head out of the computer. There we go. It's going to be a busy afternoon for us. We have some activity on radar, and we're not going to see much different today than what we had yesterday in terms of the severity of the storms. Nothing really has changed a whole lot in our atmosphere. We had a few warnings yesterday. We already have, thanks Rebecca for zooming in on radar, we already have some intense cells, and we did notice, I think she noticed a minute ago, a couple of these have the potential for some very tiny hail with them. This one here south of Newberry. And you can see these plus marks are a lot of lightning on the screen alone, over 200 strikes in the last 10 minutes, and they're slowly building eastward. In fact, we probably should get an alert out on Twitter. We forgot to do that before we went live here for the downpours developing now near Gainesville. Of course, we've been giving a heads up on this for a few hours. This is the Gulf sea breeze moving inland today at a little faster pace, and we've been talking about this as well. We're coming out of our really hot and dry pattern, and it's not going to be as hot, and it's going to be a little, I guess, a little more rainy at times in the afternoon. We're going to explain that in just a minute. But how do you go from something, I want to show you this. This was a tweet we sent out this morning. It's incredible what's happening right now in some locations. Check it out. Hawthorne, just south and east of there, 3 to 5 inches of rain fell. That was last night, and it rained up until 3 a.m. in these areas, whereas here in Gainesville, we didn't see anything. In fact, especially here in the central part of the city, rainfall has been really lacking, even though we've had big thunderstorms on both sides of the city. So this is a wider view of that same map that basically shows rainfall and look how pockets of heavy rain, other areas, if you look closely, of very little rain. If you do notice, though, there was this corridor right here, and let me see if I can draw on the screen for you. There was a corridor there with some very heavy rain, and I think I know, and what happened right in this area here is potentially going to happen this afternoon a little further to the south and east. We have a ridge here. I'm going to draw a line, and anything north of this line, most of the air is moving from southwest to northeast, and south of this line, it's generally moving east to west. And yesterday, what happened, and similar conditions are happening today, the Gulf sea breeze is marching inland, and then it can only get so far, and it gets pinned up against this Atlantic sea breeze, and then later in the evening hours, you continue to have all this energy and moisture coming in off the Atlantic, and then an increasing flow off the Gulf, and we call this the sea breeze collision. And in some cases where these thunderstorms repeat, I think we had 3 or 4 different clusters of storms develop along that boundary. And I think today the potential is for something similar to happen a little further to the south. This particular future track, and let me readjust the screen here for you. This is a projection of what might happen on radar. Let me go back a couple hours so you can see it's picking up on the cells we already have out there right now. Now it shows that they're going to fall apart, although we're already seeing on radar that's not occurring. But what you can see is the Atlantic sea breeze here on the east side of the peninsula, and it's theoretically going to move to about right here, right up and down U.S. Highway 301. And then in addition to the support from the sea breezes, we have a little upper level disturbance in southern Georgia that's sliding south, and this is what the models are indicating could enhance some of the thunderstorm development. I paused this at, that is actually all the way at 7 o'clock tonight, and I want you to see that as we go into the 8 o'clock hour, 9 o'clock hour, there's the sea breeze collision with the additional support coming down tonight, and there's this potential right along or maybe just east of U.S. Highway 301, stretching down to where the turnpike shoots off of I-75. There's the potential right here for some very heavy rain in a short amount of time tonight. And if you got hit in some of these areas with the heavy rain yesterday, there will be a localized flooding concern. Now I want to show you another model. Let's go quickly to tomorrow, because this is a projection of rainfall tomorrow. Let me get that set back up for you, and we'll clear the screen. Right in here is a projection of rainfall between the hours of 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. tomorrow. So this is more evidence that we're continuing now to see more and more moisture moving in off the Gulf, and it's causing earlier start times to the rain, more rain, and thankfully lower temperatures. Rebecca, let's explain, if you would, to our viewers what's happening in our atmosphere to cause this shift in the pattern.
Well, right now, for several days, we've had high pressure overhead, and that has been leading to hot and dry weather as you've noticed, and I don't have a clicker with me, so Jeff, if you could advance this, or hand me one, there we go.
Right.
But that's been leading to the dry air overhead, the hot temperatures, and those heat indices in the 100s for several days now. It's been lasting for several days. Today we actually have cloud cover, so our temperatures have only been in the low 90s, and that's starting to show inklings of this pattern change. But as this high pressure breaks down, moves off the coast, and we have the floodgates open, so to speak, from the Gulf, with moisture moving in and a more southwesterly flow, as well as a front or a trough moving southward, that's going to allow for some more convection, some more moisture, and some more active sea breezes, and some more widespread activity each and every day. That's going to lead to some cooler temperatures in the afternoons, and those heat indices to be knocked down back to the mid to upper 90s rather than the triple digits.
All right, thanks, Rebecca. Dan, anything you want to add? I know you were looking at the forecast. Dan was on the shift earlier today, looking at the forecast, and you've been really studying the drought and the heat. Tell us a little bit about how that's going to change here in the coming days.
Yeah, you know, Jeff, we've seen one of the top 10 driest and top 10 warmest Junes of all time here in north central Florida. That's what I'm researching right now as the climate data, and it's remarkable that we've seen that over the last 3 weeks or so. The pattern looks to shift with that trough developing over the eastern part of the country. That's really going to bring us a lot more moisture. It's going to knock down those daytime highs and should lead to more afternoon thunderstorms. So should hopefully break things up a little bit for us.
All right, thanks, Dan. And Rebecca, let's zoom in. Let's do some radar tracking real quick. I'll come over there in the Weather Center as Maritza zooms in. We got it all around us there. We got a pretty good cell in the center part of Gainesville. There's a strengthening one down near Paynes Prairie as well. None of these are severe. No warnings have been issued for them, but we're going to watch for them. We had a couple yesterday. We had several reports of wind damage yesterday over in the Jacksonville metro area, also up near Live Oak. And some of those storms produced ridiculous amounts of lightning, folks. So be aware of this. We're going to go ahead and end our briefing now because we need to start alerting our followers on Twitter and Facebook of the storms developing and potentially gear up for a few severe thunderstorms that might develop. My bigger concern, as I was mentioning earlier, is the potential for heavy rain in those areas that I showed you. Once again, that's in Marion and Putnam counties, mainly close to the US 301. Corridor. So thanks a lot for joining us. Thanks to Maritza. Maritza, I'm taking this from you, and you're getting on camera. There you are. Wave to the crowd. Appreciate it. All right, guys. Have a good afternoon.